La Biennale on Air. Welcome to La Biennale on Air, the official monthly podcast of La Biennale di Venezia. In under 30 minutes, we'll take you behind the scenes of our 130-year-old institution, uncovering both well-known and hidden stories. You'll hear from remarkable guests across all our disciplines: art, architecture, cinema, dance, music, theater, and the historical archive. To understand the present, we need to revisit the past. So we'll bring you exclusive gems from the collections of our historical archive. But we're also looking ahead, spotlighting fresh perspectives and new voices. And yes, there will be surprises along the way. Your pre-holiday cultural fix kicks off at the Teatro La Fenice, where Sir Wayne McGregor reflects on the return of Luciano Berio's Coro in a new special project by our historical archive. Then we meet Wang Shu and Lu Wanyu, the newly appointed curators of the 20th International Architecture Exhibition. And since it is the festive season, we head to the cinema. Jim Jarmusch's Golden Lion-winning Father, Mother, Sister, Brother takes center stage, followed by a sneak peek into the upcoming issue of our magazine, Applicazioni, Applications, featuring none other than American director Julian Schnabel. To wrap it all up with a bow, our artistic directors share what's on their shelves. Because what's a holiday without a good book in hand and a cozy drink by your side? This is La Biennale on Air. Sit back and enjoy the final episode of the year.
Luciano Berio has been one of the leading figures in post-war avant-garde music, exploring various compositional dimensions. To celebrate the centenary of his birth, the Historical Archive of La Biennale dedicated one of this year's special projects to his masterpiece, Coro, which is also the music you hear in this episode. Composed in 1976, after its official premiere in Germany, Coro arrived in Italy for the first time at the Biennale Teatro and Biennale Musica, directed by Luca Ronconi, that same year at the Teatro La Fenice. A monumental work, it features 40 voices and instruments with texts from Residencia en la Tierra by Pablo Neruda and folk songs. Yet something was clearly missing. That's why, once again at the Teatro La Fenice, on the 6th and 7th of December, Coro was accompanied by a new and original choreography by Sir Wayne McGregor, artistic director of our dance festival. Groundbreaking, unfamiliar, boundary-pushing, never supposed to be choreographed are just a few words McGregor used to describe Coro, whose sound has captivated him since he was a little lad in England. We spoke with Wayne to better understand his approach to this piece and the incredible work carried out with the dancers of his company, as well as some of the dancers of the Biennale College Danza. You mentioned that among Luciano Berio's extraordinary repertoire, choosing Coro for the choreography was an easy decision. What draws you to this piece in particular? How did you go about creating the choreography, and where did you find your inspiration?
Choosing Coro to choreograph to was really an easy decision for me because it's a piece of work that I have loved for many, many years. And it's partly its unknowableness that I really appreciate. You know, it's a kind of a series of erratic and volatile musical episodes which form a kind of stream of consciousness approach to a score. I had no idea how one would start to choreograph something like that. You know, in many ways that is the challenge. But I knew I didn't need to do anything that was literal, that it felt like it needed to be a collage, a mosaic. It needed to respond to the incredible acoustic power and images that are in the music itself. You know, one of the things that Berio does in that score is use chorus and solo voices and obviously orchestra to generate huge walls of sound and all of a sudden drop those walls of sound out into very tiny solo kind of fragile pieces of music. So it's both epic in scale and really personal and intimate. And so in a way, all of the cues for the creating of the work come from the score, and they come from the somatic experience of listening to this incredible world.
On this occasion, you worked with selected dancers from the past 5 editions of the Biennale College Danza. This collaboration highlights just how valuable the college is as an opportunity for emerging artists. What was it like working with them in a different context? And what advice would you give to someone hoping to join the Biennale College Danza next year?
How wonderful it's been working again with some of the young people that were in past versions of the Biennale College. You know, these are young dancers that come to us in the Biennale College to have a professionalized experience where they develop and evolve very, very quickly over a 3-month period here in Venice. But then they go off and then they're working with other professional companies and in different contexts. And you see the growth really, really quickly. It's been fantastic to have them back in the studio with me, not only to see and remember the reasons we chose them in the first place, their great artistry, their imagination, their creativity, their focus, you know, their attention to detail, but also to see how much they've grown. This is the beautiful thing about the thing that we do, which is dance, is that it's a lifelong learning occupation. You never stop learning. And so for as long as you remain open and curious and passionate and dedicated, you're going to go a long way. And so when I'm thinking about those young dancers who are applying now for Biennale College, it's of course it's important, technique is important, but it's also important to have a sense of yourself. It's important that you extend your imaginative capabilities by going and seeing lots of other art making, reading lots of books, touch other different knowledge sets so that you come really prepared to offer something more than just your body. And at the same time, just really stick at it, be strong, just keep dedicatedly working away. And eventually you'll either come to the college or you'll join a company or you'll do something really wonderful on your own steam. But to be able to do that, you just need to keep that tenacity, that strength of approach. And I really encourage you to do that.
There's so much you can learn simply by staying curious. And on that note, we encourage you to check our website regularly to stay updated on the many calls for applications published each year, especially those for the college programs.
Well, the new year is just around the corner, bringing with it plenty of exciting news. But La Biennale is looking even further ahead, all the way to 2027, when the 20th International Architecture Exhibition will take place. In case you missed it, its new artistic directors have just been announced. The Chinese architects Wang Shu and Lu Wanyu of Amateur Architecture Studio. And here, for you, our devoted podcast listeners, is a message from the new curators themselves, both excited and ready to begin work on their upcoming assignment. Let's hear from them.
We are very honored to be the artistic directors of Architecture Department and curators of 20th International Architecture Exhibition of La Biennale de Venezia 2027 by the invitation from President Pietrangelo Buttafuoco.
And thanks to the board of directors of the Biennale di Venezia for the trust in us, we will try our best to meet this big challenge.
In the current world, the rapid and multiple changes in architecture are more a phenomenon of appearance, the result of excessive conceptualization or market commercialization. Conceptual experiments driven to extremes are often divorced from the reality, and over commercialization tends to be merely popular and short-lived. This phenomenon changes rapidly in order to survive, breaking away from the connection with the real place.
It will lead to the death of architecture. Therefore, architecture becomes a kind of delusional expression about the future.
For this reason, in the face of the real crisis of this world, insisting on a simple and true concept and method of architecture has a special value. We will strive to present this value and exploration with the greatest sincerity for the better reality and the future.
Once again, we would like to express our heartfelt thanks for President Pietrangelo Buttafuoco and to the entire La Biennale di Venezia team.
When snow is falling outside and the Christmas spirit fills the streets, what better moment to enjoy a film in the warmth of a cinema? From the 18th of December in Italy and from the 24th worldwide, the winner of the Golden Lion at the 82nd Venice International Film Festival, Father, Mother, Sister, Brother by Jim Jarmusch, arrives in theaters. The film marks the return of the great American director, a defining figure of modern independent cinema, to the big screen. Structured in 3 chapters that echo its title, it delves into the intricate dynamics of family life, the ties between parents and children, and the bonds and tensions among siblings. Jarmusch approaches these themes with his signature grace and restraint, a style that appears understated yet resonates deeply. The work is elevated by a remarkable ensemble cast featuring Kate Blanchett, Vicky Krieps, Charlotte Rampling, and Tom Waits, among others. We can begin to immerse ourselves in this poetic creation by revisiting the director's words from the film's press conference at the Lido.
I usually carry ideas around for a year or more, sometimes many years, before I finally write very fast in a number of weeks. I wrote this in like 3 weeks, and I don't know really where it comes from. I've always loved the form of these kind of different chapters in films, which is certainly not new in literature and not new in cinema either. But this film was very, very carefully constructed to accumulate. So if you were to show one chapter without the others, I would be mortified, because I worked very, very hard with this structure. And I write for actors, for people I imagine while I'm writing, and so lucky to get to work with these incredible collaborators. Oh, and yes, in this case, the film was very close to what I had imagined, because filmmaking, the language of cinema, as David Lynch said, is very complicated and difficult. And often I embrace mistakes and accidents, and I'm open to things changing. But in this case, oddly, it stayed quite close to my original imagination, thanks to a great deal to these incredible actors and to my collaborators, cinematography and editing.
This edition of the festival marked Jarmusch's first appearance in competition, following his out-of-competition presence in 2003 with Coffee and Cigarettes. The jury promptly acknowledged the strength of his latest work, awarding him the top prize. Here are the director's heartfelt remarks shortly after receiving the Golden Lion.
I wasn't thinking about a prize for our film. The prize was having it shown here and being selected among these other films and being celebrated among a kind of diversity of different filmmakers and styles and different types of films. That's the award, you know? And this is just a little overwhelming for me. I'm someone who is a bit shy of all of this attention, so it's a little surprising to me. I'm sort of confused. But I'm very, very, very appreciative because the collaborators, the beautiful cast, all the people I worked with, we worked very, very hard to be very focused making this film. And I'll tell you, it's a lot more exhausting to be looking at Kate Blanchett's eyelid or Tom Waits's gesture than to have 15 zombies come out of the grave, you know? It was a very focused film to make, so I'm very proud of it, but the real thing was having a little light shown on it by being here presented in Venice. That's the real reward.
Speaking of the 82nd Venice International Film Festival, the lineup also included another distinguished filmmaker and visual artist, Julian Schnabel. He presented his new project, In the Hand of Dante, out of competition. The film is a striking historical thriller that spans centuries, from Dante Alighieri's world to a contemporary mystery involving an autographed copy of the Divine Comedy. Starring Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa, Sabrina Impacciatore, and Al Pacino, it drew considerable interest from audiences on the Lido. In the forthcoming issue of La Biennale di Venezia magazine, dedicated to applied arts, readers will find an exclusive interview by film critic Giulia Vallan with Julian Schnabel. In the conversation, Schnabel elaborates on his vision of art, describing how in both his paintings and his films, he aims to create an experience that carries the viewer beyond time into a space that belongs solely to the work itself, where past and present converge. This perspective also informs In the Hand of Dante. As a special preview, we are pleased to share an excerpt from that interview.
I've said before to people that paintings bring you into their present. Meaning you can look at a Caravaggio painting today and it's your present. It brings you into its present. You're having that relationship with that thing. One, it's a way of transgressing death for the artist. But two, it's a way of collapsing time because you're having the same experience that the person had 700 years ago. And so I think that notion of eternal life, or do we keep repeating these things? Are we, the doubleness of the film, which is maybe confounding to people because they're like, oh, how does this segue into that? Or is it a flashback? Are we flashing forward? No, these things are happening simultaneously. The way that things happen without explanation in your head, out of your head. As you walk out the door, you don't know what's going to happen. I don't, most movies, I know what's going to happen in the next scene all the time. I know what somebody's going to say. Maybe that's reassuring to some people. Sometimes it's great, and I don't like to make generalities, but normally it's a turnoff to me. And so when I like, Chris Walken once said, if you can't surprise yourself, how do you expect to surprise anyone else? And I love that sentence. I've kind of repeated it before because I want it to be a surprise. And if I come across an idea that is a surprise, I mean, the idea, for example, of Jason Momoa walking into that library in that white outfit and putting his arm around Sabrina Impacciatore, what an unlikely couple. The audience is going to think at first, oh, something bad's going to happen to her. Who would think that that would be his girlfriend, that they would even know each other? So, do I like that idea? Does that mean I'm a free thinker? It just means that I trust a version of truth, which might even be a lie, more than logic.
We would like to thank Julian Schnabel once again for his precious and thought-provoking words. We also wish to remind you that the new issue of La Biennale di Venezia magazine, the 4th of 2025, will be released this week. You can find all issues of the magazine online at the Biennale store, in major bookshops, and at events where it will be presented throughout Italy and abroad.
All right. We know there's at least one present you've completely forgotten about. Don't panic. We've got you covered. You've probably already raided our website to grab a magazine or catalogue for our exhibitions and festivals. And if you haven't, what are you waiting for? Off you go to the Biennale store. But to spare the postal system a total meltdown, and to give you a reliable last-minute sprint to the bookshop alternative, this year we asked our artistic directors to step in. Alberto Barbera, Wayne McGregor, Willem Dafoe and Caterina Barbieri come to the rescue with a fail-safe solution, a book to slip under the Christmas tree. 4 voices, 4 stories, and 1 very helpful question. Which book is truly worth giving? Let's dive in.
This time, I would like to recommend not a book about cinema, but 2 novels. They are the last 2 books written and published together by Cormac McCarthy before his death 2 years ago. In my opinion, McCarthy is one of the greatest American writers of the second half of the last century. I have eagerly read all his novels, but the last 2 are truly special and unique in the contemporary literary landscape. They are titled The Passenger and Stella Maris. They are very different from a narrative point of view, even though they have some elements and characters in common. But what matters, in my opinion, is that both push literature to the extreme limits of its possibilities, where it encounters other languages and other practices, such as science and psychoanalysis. Put like that, they may seem difficult and hard to follow, but they are actually the most fascinating and engaging reading I've come across recently. I am maybe a little late because the novels are 2 years old already, but I am not sure they got all the attention they deserve, So I strongly recommend to read the two books. I'm sure you won't be disappointed.
Well, I have so many beautiful books that I would recommend. But for Christmas, because I eat so much, rubbish over Christmas and I gorge on, bad Christmas films and Christmas carols, I need to kind of like balance that with something which is a little bit, more intellectual, if you like. And I would recommend a book called Being You by the neuroscientist Anil Seth, which is really about the nature of consciousness, but it tells you so much about what it's like to be a human, and it's a very beautiful, easy read, and something that definitely counterpoints with all of the festivities of Christmas.
I'm Willem Dafoe, and I want to recommend Rob Cowan's North Road from Penguin Books. He begins the story along the haunted highway, the A1 in England, the Great North Road, a 400-mile Roman road, pilgrim path, bus route, and motorway that is run like a backbone through Britain for the last 2,000 years. It is a journey into the liminal space where past, present, and future meet. This book is also a journey through life and a family's story unexpectedly bound up with the highway, always with those central universal questions at its core. Who are we? How did we get here? Where are we going? I read it in one sitting on a long plane flight and wanted to memorize certain sections like a prayer. It's a genre-defined, profoundly personal work, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Caterina Barbieri, and today I would like to recommend Waiting for God by Simone Weil. I've been reading this book since a few months now, bringing it with me in several travels. So the cover of the book is completely destroyed by the sea, the wind, the water. I love this book because it offers non-dogmatic form of mysticism that speaks both to believers and non-believers, grounded in ethical responsibility as much as contemplation. For Simone Weil, pure attention stripped of desire is the highest form of prayer. And at the center of this book is her idea of waiting, understood not as a passive longing, but as a discipline and radical state of openness and grace.
And that's a wrap on the final episode of La Biennale on Air for 2025. We hope you've enjoyed this festive, behind-the-scenes journey through the creativity and innovation that define La Biennale di Venezia. Looking ahead to 2026, we're already gearing up for another exciting year. Are you an emerging artist or a creative soul eager to make your mark? Don't miss out on the Biennale College Danza and Biennale College Teatro open calls. Both are now accepting applications. This is your chance to be part of the next generation of talent, shaping the future of the arts. Also, if you're still hunting for the perfect Christmas gift, why not treat someone or yourself to early bird tickets for the Biennale Arte 2026? They make the ideal present for any art lover. But act quickly before it's too late. A quick shout out for those in New Delhi. Indian Interior, the fourth chapter of the special project by our historical archive, The Wind Makes the Sky, La Biennale di Venezia, in the footsteps of Marco Polo, is currently on display at Bikaner House, thanks to the collaboration with the Kiran Nadar Museum of Art, KNMA. Running until the 28th of December, the exhibition explores the rich and diverse narratives of India's creative landscape, not to be missed if you're in the area. Lastly, a massive thank you for tuning in and joining us throughout the year. We can't wait to bring you more stories and fresh insights in 2026. Until then, stay inspired, stay imaginative, and enjoy the holidays to the fullest.
This is La Biennale on Air. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year!
La Biennale on Air is a podcast produced by La Biennale di Venezia. The voices you're hearing are those of Leda Kreider.
And Marco Quaglia.
Mixing and audio editing are by C3 Tecnologie e Organizzazione SRL. The choreography of Luciano Berio's Coro has been authorized by the copyright holders, Universal Edition and the Luciano Berio Estate, exclusively for the two performances at La Biennale di Venezia on the 6th and 7th of December 2025. Publisher, Universal Edition AG, Vienna. Representative for Italy, Casa Ricordi, Milan. The podcast is curated by the editorial activities and web office and the press office of La Biennale di Venezia. Cesare Bisantis, Valentina Campana, Claudia Gioia, Ornella Mogno, and Marta Zannoner.